Hare Krishna. Welcome to the summary of chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Jnāna Vijnāna Yoga, the yoga of knowledge and wisdom. Before we dive in, let's quickly recall where we left off in chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga. Krishna has just concluded by revealing the topmost yogi, the devotee who constantly think of him with faith and love. We also saw how Krishna is a methodical teacher. He doesn't just drop a concept suddenly. He carefully builds our understanding step by step. In chapter 6, he guided Arjuna through the process of meditation, how to steady the mind, remain unaffected by distractions, and focus on the Supreme. We can look at an example of two lamps. One we can place an open window, which kind of flickers constantly due to wind. Another we can place away from the window, which kind of burns steadily. That steady flame is like the mind in meditation, unaffected by distractions. And Krishna taught us that this steadiness comes from practice and detachment. And now in chapter 7, Krishna is taking us to the next stage. He will open the doors to true knowledge, Jnāna, understanding who God is, who we are, and what this world is. But he will also take us deeper into realized wisdom, Vijnāna. Not just knowing these truths, but experiencing them personally. This chapter marks a turning point. We are entering the middle 6 chapters of Gita, the heart of Gita, where Krishna will reveal the secrets of Bhakti Yoga, the highest and the most intimate connection with him. As we step into chapter 7, Krishna begins by giving us knowledge we need to truly love him. Remember how we ended chapter 6? He glorified the devotee. Shraddhavan bhajate omam, that person with faith who abides in me and renders devotional service is most dear to me. There's an Uttarakhand Doha from Ramcharitmanas which captures this. Jane binu nahi hoye paratiti, bin paratiti hoye nahi priti. Without knowledge, there can be no faith. And without faith, there can be no love. Think about it in our everyday life. Before choosing a holiday destination or a university or even a party venue, we do research. We check reviews, compare options, weighs pros and cons. We don't just go by impulse, we use our head and our heart. The same principle applies in spirituality. Faith in Krishna is not a blind sentiment. It is built upon knowledge and intellect. And Krishna knows that for love to deepen, our conviction must be strong. That's why in chapter 7, entitled Jnana Vijnāna Yoga, the knowledge of absolute, Krishna begins to reveal deep philosophical truths. Truths that will remove doubt, strengthen faith, and inspire confident devotion. In fact, from chapter 7 to 12, we enter what the acharyas call the heart of Bhagavad Gita, the middle 6 chapter that focus entirely on Bhakti Yoga. This is where Krishna reveals, as I said before, who he really is and how this world operates and how we can connect with him intimately. To guide our journey through chapter 7, we'll remember it with an acronym H.E.A.D, hearing, everywhere, accept or reject, and demigods. These 4 points will help us understand the logical, knowledge-based foundation of devotion, or in other words, a true affair of both head and the heart. Hearing. Krishna starts chapter 7 by highlighting how important the knowledge he's about to share is. He says, He will give us Jnāna, the knowledge of his material and spiritual energies, and Vijnāna, the realized knowledge of his own transcendental form, his Swarupa. And then he makes a remarkable statement. Once you know this, there'll be nothing further left to know. Imagine a library where, after reading one book, you understood every other book's essence. That's the kind of completeness Krishna is talking about. And here, the sobering truth. This understanding is rare, very rare. In verse 3, Krishna says, among thousands of human beings, only a few strive for perfection. And among those who achieves it, hardly one truly know him in truth. Why so rare? Because this knowledge isn't stumbled upon by chance, nor is it guessed by speculation. Krishna emphasizes that to understand universal reality, both material and spiritual, we must hear from the right source. This is called the descending path of knowledge, where truth is revealed by the Supreme Himself through His words and through those who have perfectly understood Him. It's like going to understand the depth of ocean. You could swim on your own, and guess what lies beneath. But without a deep sea guide, you will never see the treasures below. In the same way, without hearing from the Krishna or his genuine representatives, our understandings remain superficial. So Krishna begins this chapter by inviting Arjuna and us to listen carefully. If we open our ears and our heart, and what he's about to reveal can transform our understanding of reality and our relationship with him forever. Everywhere. After urging us to hear from him, Krishna now begins revealing profound knowledge about himself. The E is everywhere because once we truly understand what he is saying here, you will see him in everything, everywhere. In verse 4, Krishna begins by describing his separated material energies, 8 elements. What are those? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These make up the entire material world, from mountains to the oceans, from the cities we live in to the thoughts in our mind. All are made from these energies. Then in verse 6, he reveals something even more striking. There's superior energy, the living beings. That's you, me, every soul. And what we are doing, the superior energy, us, which tries to manipulate and influence the inferior material energy to survive, create, and build. But as we'll see later, without understanding our connection with Krishna, this effort is like to rearrange furniture on a sinking ship. In verse 6 and 7, Krishna declares his position as a creator, maintainer, and destroyer of everything. He says, Mattah parataram nanyat. There is no one superior to me. Just as pearls are held together by a hidden thread, all of creation rests upon him, supported and maintained by his will, even if we don't see him directly. But Krishna doesn't just tell us he's the source. He also shows us how to perceive him in our daily lives. Verse 8 to 12 are like the spiritual treasure map. He's a taste in water when we are thirsty, the light of the sun and moon that brightens our days and nights, the Omkara in the Vedic mantras, the sound vibration that begins all sacred chants, the sound in the ether, the strength of the strong, the fragrance of the earth, the heat in fire, the life of all that lives, and the penance of all austerities. He's the seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and even sex life that's in harmony with dharma. In other words, he's in everything we experience. But he remains independent of it all. Even though he creates the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, he's never bound by them. So when we say Krishna is everywhere, it's not just poetic, it's literal. The more we train our consciousness to see him in everyday manifestation, the more connected and grounded we feel in his presence, no matter where we are. Accept or reject. After revealing that he's everywhere, Krishna now presents us with a choice. Will we accept him or reject him? First, he gives us a sobering reality check. Every living being in this world is caught in the grip of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These modes influence everything: how we think, how we feel, how we act. We may think we are free, but in truth, these modes pull the strings of our behavior like invisible forces. In verse 14, Krishna identifies these modes as his own energy and warns that breaking free from them is not easy. He says it's impossible without help. But then comes the lifeline. Just surrender unto me, and I will deliver you from this ocean of material existence. The way out of the Bhav Sagara, the way out of the Bhav Sagara, the ocean of the repeated birth and death, is not through our own strength, but through his mercy. Krishna then describes two different groups of people, those who surrender and those who don't. The four who surrender are four types: is Artha, the distressed, the seeking relief from suffering ones; Jignasu, the inquisitive one who's searching for the truth; Artharthi, the seekers of material gain; Jnāni, those in search of the absolute truth. All four approach him for different reasons, and Krishna welcomes them all as magnanimous souls. But among them, the Jnāni, who seeks nothing material and understands Krishna in truth, is especially dear to him. And the four who don't surrender, who are they? Mura, the grossly foolish ones; Naradhama, the lowest among mankind; and Maya Ya Partha Jnana, those whose knowledge is stolen by illusion; and Asuram Bhavam Ashrita, the openly aesthetic. These individuals remain bound by the modes of material nature because they refuse the very hand that could pull them out. And then in verse 19, Krishna makes a profound point. After many, many lifetimes of cultivating knowledge, a truly wise person surrenders to him, realizing Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudev, Krishna, is everything. Such a soul is extremely rare, and even rarer still is the pure devotee who serves Krishna not because of distress, curiosity, or personal gain, but simply out of love. In other words, the greatest treasure of human life is to reach the stage where acceptance is complete, surrender is wholehearted, and devotion is without motive. That's the kind of acceptance that transforms our destiny. Demigods. After explaining the types of people who accepts him and those who rejects him, Krishna now addresses the sensitive and often misunderstood subject, demigod worship. Krishna is very respectful, but also very clear. Worshippers of demigod are considered less intelligent. Why? Because their intelligence is stolen by material desires. Instead of seeking the eternal, they settle for the temporary. And here comes an interesting revelation. Krishna says he is the one who gives a person the faith to worship a particular demigod. And he is also the one who empowers the demigod to give the blessing. So if someone prays to Ganesha for wisdom, to Surya for health, or to Lakshmi for prosperity, the blessing ultimately comes from Krishna, just channeled through that deity. In other words, Krishna is there on both sides, in the faith of the worshipper and in the power of the demigod. But then Krishna points out a limitation. The demigods, their planets, and the results they give are all temporary. If we worship them, we can reach their planets, but eventually we must return to Earth where our merit runs out. So eventually we must return to Earth when our merit runs out. And on the other hand, if we worship Krishna, we go to his eternal abode and never come back to this cycle of birth and death. It's the truth that can be hard to digest. People often say, oh, but my parents and grandparents have always worshipped a certain kind of deity for generation. How can I change now? It's like that London taxi story. A man gets into a taxi and tells the driver to take him to Heathrow. The journey is smooth until they hit some traffic. The passenger who knows a quicker route leans forward and taps the driver in the shoulder. The driver screams, nearly crashes, and pulls over. The shocked passenger asks, what happened? The driver replies, I'm sorry. It's my first week as a taxi driver. For the past 20 years, I drove a funeral car. And if someone taps you from the back in the funeral car, you'd panic too. The point is simple. When we've been doing something the same way for years, or even generations, change feels uncomfortable. But just as a taxi driver needed to adapt to this new job, we must adapt when the truth is revealed to us. Krishna isn't saying to disrespect the demigods. In fact, he says they should be honored, but he's reminding us that there is one supreme, that is himself. And towards the end of the chapter, Krishna pulls us from the fog of Maya to the clarity of his devotion. He briefly mentions that he is Adi Bhuta, the origin of all material elements, Adi Deva, he is the origin of all demigods, and Adi Yagna, the origin of all sacrifices. But he doesn't elaborate here. Why? Because he will explain these terms in detail in the next chapter. And with that, chapter 7, the very first chapter of Bhakti Yoga, comes to close. These 30 verses are packed with a truth that transforms our life if we hear and apply them with sincerity. By knowing Krishna, who is completely pure, and by associating with him, our own hearts are purified. Before we close, let's make chapter 7 practical. For the next 24 hours, play a little game called Spot Krishna Everywhere. Krishna says, Raso ham apsu konteya, O Arjuna, I am the taste of water. He goes on, I am the light of sun and moon, the Om in the Vedas, the sound in space, the ability in everywhere, the fragrance of the earth, the heat in fire, the life of all beings, the seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the strength of the strong when it's free from selfish desire. So here's the practice. When you sip water, whisper, this taste is Krishna. When you see the sun, the moon, and even the lamp, remember, this light is Krishna. When you hear any sound, from birds to a phone ping, this sound capacity is Krishna. Smell the earth or a meal, this fragrance is Krishna. Feel warmth, this heat is Krishna. Begin a task, this ability is Krishna. Choose integrity over impulse, this strength is Krishna. It's a simple head and heart loop. Notice, remember, feel grateful. Tonight, jot down 3 moments you spotted Krishna. You will be amazed how quickly the world starts to feel sacred. Because as Krishna revealed today, he really is everywhere. So we have just seen how Krishna described himself as the taste of water, light of sun and moon, the fragrance, the sound. These are just poetic, not just poetic descriptions. These are practical anchors of our mind. So whenever we drink water, like I said, feel strength, notice light, smell of flower, let that moment be a reminder, this is Krishna. If you make this a habit, spirituality stop being a short ritual and becomes a 24-hour meditation. Now, carrying this practice in our heart, we step into the final moments of chapter 7. Krishna ends this chapter by lifting us from confusion to clarity. He shows us that while demigod worshipper offers temporary results and devotion to him connects to the eternal, this chapter is the foundation of Bhakti Yoga, the first of the middle 6 chapter that reveal the essence of Gita. And just before closing, Krishna hints at something mysterious, Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Yagna topics. He will fully explain this next. In our next session, we will see Krishna reveal what happened at the time of death and how remembrance of him at that crucial moment guarantees liberation. Chapter 8 is called Akshar Brahm Yoga, the eternal God. It's going to be deeply inspiring and potentially life changing. That's it. Hare Krishna.